Can you imagine if Godzilla was actually real? Just picture him emerging from the depths, the colossal titan with his mighty roar that's enough to make entire cities shake. What a breathtaking and adrenaline-rushing experience this would be. I know you've probably already heard the arguments that any good paleontologist would make about this being simply impossible due to a multitude of biological and physical limitations. That kind of takes all the fun out of it. But to be fair, let's take a look at both sides of this discussion.
Please take a quick second to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our future videos like this one. We appreciate it.
Okay, before we go straight to the fun stuff, let's first consider the scientific and factual point of view, which is still pretty fascinating, although definitely less fun. Here in the real world, we know that Godzilla will always be just a figment of our imaginations and confined to the big screen for quite a few reasons. The heart of the matter is, Godzilla's immense size would require a gargantuan-sized heart, potentially weighing thousands of tons, to be able to pump blood through that huge body and all the way up to his head. We're talking blood vessels that would need to be wide enough to drive a car through. And this massive heart would require an insane amount of energy just to function, comparable to a small power plant. So instead of radioactive superhuman strength, Godzilla would probably barely have enough energy to stand up. But let's say Godzilla somehow figured out the energy problem. His sheer size would create another issue: nerve signal delay. At his size, it would take over a full second for a nerve signal to travel from his brain to his legs. This would result in extremely slow reflexes and make his movements incredibly sluggish and uncoordinated. Not very conducive to a creature known for wildly stomping on cities. Further complicating things, considering Godzilla's reptilian nature, he would need to spend a ridiculous amount of time sunbathing to regulate his body temperature. He would struggle to penetrate those thick layers of tissue, so staying warm would require almost continuous sunbathing. Godzilla would be much less of a city-destroying monster and more of a giant, scaly beach bum. On the other hand, maybe Godzilla somehow evolved into a warm-blooded mammal to solve the sunbathing thing. Unfortunately, this creates a new problem: overheating. His internal temperature could reach a scorching 300 degrees, essentially turning him into a giant, self-cooking roast. Finally, the most significant issue would be Godzilla's staggering weight, in the neighborhood of 990,000 metric tons or so. No known skeletal structure could support such a colossal load. Godzilla would simply crumble under his own weight, turning into a massive heap of monster mush. He would simply be too massive to support his own weight, let alone move effectively. So while the idea of this giant monster wreaking havoc on our cities has captured our collective imagination since the 1950s, the reality is that Godzilla is simply not biologically or physically possible. The laws of physics and biology just don't allow such a creature to exist. Thank goodness, though, if you think about the other side of this discussion. So now for the fun part you've been waiting for. Let's, for a moment, cast aside all the shackles of scientific reason and indulge in the impossible, a world where Godzilla, in all his cinematic glory, exists. What would some of the ramifications of such a colossal creature be on our world? Global panic. The sheer terror induced by a giant, radioactive lizard capable of leveling cities would be unimaginable. Mass panic, societal breakdown, and widespread displacement would immediately become obvious consequences. Military ineffectiveness and reevaluation. Conventional weaponry would likely prove futile against Godzilla's size, strength, and atomic breath. This would force a complete reevaluation of military strategies and the development of new, potentially unconventional weapons. Unprecedented scientific inquiry. The emergence of Godzilla would spark an unprecedented wave of scientific research. Scientists would race to understand his biology, origins, and vulnerabilities. This would lead to accelerated advancements in various fields, particularly in paleontology, nuclear physics, and biomechanics. International cooperation and global unity. The threat of Godzilla would necessitate unprecedented levels of global cooperation. Nations would be forced to set aside their differences and work together to develop strategies for containment, defense, and potentially even communication with the creature. Redefining natural disasters. Godzilla would become the ultimate natural disaster, capable of quickly causing destruction on a scale never seen before. This would cause sweeping changes in the insurance industry and force humanity to rethink disaster preparedness and response strategies. This could, however, lead to the development of new technologies and early warning systems specifically designed to deal with a new normal of Godzilla-level threats. Environmental impact and adaptation. Godzilla's presence would have a significant impact on the environment. His movements could literally trigger earthquakes and tsunamis, while his radioactive nature would necessitate the development of new decontamination and radiation management protocols. Ecosystems would have to adapt to the presence of this apex predator, and the study of these adaptations could yield new insights into ecological resilience. While the existence of Godzilla remains firmly in the realm of fantasy, exploring these hypothetical consequences of his existence is a fascinating thought experiment. It allows us to consider our actual preparedness for the unexpected, the potential for scientific advancement driven by extraordinary circumstances, and the importance of global unity in the face of existential threats. In conclusion, we can safely continue to enjoy Godzilla's cinematic rampages, marveling at the creativity and imagination that brought this impossible creature to life on screen. And maybe now we can find new appreciation for the real-life wonders of the natural world, where even the largest creatures do manage to operate within the fascinating and intricate laws of nature that govern our universe in the real world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.